Hello everyone, my name is Steve Ensley and I am the director of the IESA, and in addition to my role as the director, I also serve as the administrator for the IESA State Wrestling Series. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video presentation. It's my hope that after watching this that you are more familiar with some changes that are going to be coming to the wrestling program, and that is what we want to do with this presentation, is to bring you up to date on not only changes within the association but also National Federation rules changes. And at the end of this video, Mr. Tony Clark, who is from Zion, Illinois, is going to share with you some of the NFHS rule changes and talk specifically about the new uniform rules that are in effect for the 17-18 school year. But before we get to Tony, I'd like to go over some things with you that are new to IESA for this year, and I think you'll find that these changes that we have made will not only make it easier for you, the participating schools, but certainly also for our host schools. Without a doubt, the biggest change that is in effect for the state series this year is that there will be no changes to your state series roster after you seed each weight class the night of the seeding meeting preceding the regional. In past years, we allowed schools to make changes the morning of the regional if a particular wrestler didn't make weight, or if there was a wrestler who was ineligible or had become injured or ill after the seeding meeting. We allowed you to replace that wrestler with another wrestler who was not listed on the regional entry form. However, beginning this year, once a weight class has been seeded at the regional level, once a weight class has been seeded at the regional seed meeting, then there will be no changes permitted. Even if someone fails to make weight Saturday morning, or is ill or injured and is not able to participate on Saturday of the regional, there are no changes. The wrestler who was scheduled to wrestle against the student who is ill or injured or didn't make weight will simply receive a forfeit win. The brackets are not redrawn. Wrestling will just simply continue. This will make it much easier for our regional hosts in that they can print bout cards as soon as that regional seeding meeting is completed. Because again, there are no changes. Coaches, you get to list 2 wrestlers per weight class. Be sure that you list the wrestlers in the weight class in which you want them to wrestle at the regional. Attend the seeding meeting. You will seed the wrestlers, and then once that weight class has been seeded, that bracket is frozen, and again, there are no changes after that. So again, this is a major change, but it is one that was wholeheartedly approved by the Wrestling Advisory Committee and the IESA Board of Directors. So again, no changes to the brackets once they have been seeded at the regional seed meeting. Another item that you need to be aware of is that there is a new skin condition form. If you have printed copies of the skin condition form from previous years, and if you needed to hand one to a student because of a existing skin condition, throw all those old forms away and go to the IESA website. You will simply go to the wrestling portion of the website, click on the link titled Documents and Links, and then you will then go to the skin condition form. Print new forms. They're similar to what they have been, but there's a little more information there for the doctors to list whether or not the skin condition is contagious. So again, please be sure that you're using the updated skin condition form. At the end of my presentation, again, as I said earlier, we'll be turning this over to Tony Clark, who will talk a little bit more in depth about some of the new uniform requirements for this year. But in case you have not heard, the National Federation has approved a new two-piece uniform, which allows for compression shorts or shorts that are designed for wrestling, along with a compression shirt. Understand that if your wrestlers are going to wear compression shorts or some type of short that is designed for wrestling, that you must wear a suitable undergarment underneath those shorts. And in all cases, whether your wrestlers wear a traditional singlet or whether they wear this new two-piece uniform, in all cases, those uniforms must be school-issued uniforms. Talk a little bit about the 37 match limitation. We get some questions every once in a while about, well, does the 37 match limitation include non-varsity matches? And the answer to that question is yes. Each individual wrestler is limited to 37 matches throughout the season, exclusive of the state tournament series. So the most matches that any one wrestler can wrestle prior to going into the regional tournament is 37. That includes any matches that are wrestled at the varsity level, some type of JV match, some type of non-varsity match. Any type of interscholastic match is considered to be an individual match, and your wrestlers can wrestle, again, a maximum of 37 going into the regional. Another item I want to make very clear to everyone is this whole notion of weighing in. As you know, all IESA wrestlers must meet scratch weight for every meet in which they wrestle. Scratch weight means exactly that. If you are entered at the 112-pound class, you can weigh no more than 112 pounds. There are no weight allowances. But all wrestlers must weigh in before every match. And unfortunately, I have heard that there are often times when, particularly with some B matches or non-varsity weights, where the wrestlers are not weighing in. In fact, I've heard from some officials who have specifically said that coaches have told them, well, these wrestlers didn't weigh in today. And so, but we think it's a 112-pounder, and we think that his opponent's going to be 112 pounds. That does not fly. That is a real liability issue, and coaches, believe me when I tell you this, that if you are putting wrestlers out on the mat who have not weighed in, you are putting yourself, your school, and the wrestler in a tremendous liability situation. Again, you must weigh in all wrestlers before every match. And another item that goes along with that is be sure that you follow the National Federation rule that requires 45-minute rest between matches. This is not an IESA rule. This is a National Federation rule. 45 minutes between matches. So what I think we often have is a situation where we have a dual meet set up and a given school, let's say, has 15 wrestlers and another school only has 8 wrestlers. And you want to give the school with the 15 wrestlers a chance, all of those wrestlers a chance to wrestle. So you wrestle the school with 8 wrestlers, and then it's time to have those wrestlers wrestle once again against the kids from the school with 15 wrestlers who didn't get a chance to wrestle in the first round, let's say. That's fine to do so, but you've got to be sure that those wrestlers from the school with only 8 wrestlers have 45 minutes before they go and wrestle someone from that other school again. So again, this is not something that you can just arbitrarily say, well, he's okay, he only needed 20 minutes recovery time. No, it is a National Federation rule that says you must have 45 minutes between matches. So I need you to abide by that. Finally, let me mention to you that we have put together an ad hoc wrestling committee for the sole purpose of looking at the IESA State Wrestling Series. I have been mentioning this to IESA wrestling coaches for several years now, but we continue to grow, which is a positive, but the fact that we allow 2 wrestlers per weight class to enter into the state series, given the growth that the association has seen in the wrestling state series, 2 wrestlers per weight class is an unsustainable model, and we need to make a change. And so we will be having an ad hoc committee study our wrestling state series. In fact, their first meeting is set up for Wednesday, November the 29th, and their whole purpose is to review the current setup and suggest possible changes to the state series. And anything will be on the table. It's not going to just necessarily be that it has to be this way or it has to be that way. Anything that they want to discuss is certainly part of their charge, so to speak, in terms of what are we going to do so that we can continue to handle this growth that we see in the Wrestling State Series. This year, for instance, we have 175 schools that have entered the state series. With 16 regionals, that's going to make 15 of the 16 regionals have 11 schools assigned to the regional. One school then will have one regional will have 10 schools assigned to it. With 11 schools assigned to a given regional, the possibility exists that we could have a 22-man bracket in just one weight class. Now, I know and you know that not all 19 weight classes are going to have 22 wrestlers entered into the regional. But it is possible that 1 or 2 of the weight classes could have 22 wrestlers within a given bracket, and maybe 3 or 4 of the weight classes could have 17 to 20 wrestlers entered into it. That makes for an incredibly long and almost impossible day for the regional hosts. And so again, this will be something that this ad hoc committee looks at. that they discuss, and that they will then be making recommendations to the IESA Board of Directors for changes to, or I should say for potential changes to the state wrestling series. Stay tuned. We'll have lots of more information to share with you as that committee continues to meet and presents recommendations to the board. A couple of final dates that I want to be sure that you all are aware of. Your regional seating meetings this year are on February the 21st. The regionals will be Saturday, February the 24th. Sectionals are on Saturday, March the 3rd. And our state finals will once again be held at the Convocation Center on the campus of Northern Illinois University in DeKalb on Friday and Saturday, March 9th and 10th. As always, if you ever have any questions, please give me a call. Our number here at the IESA office is 309-829-0114. Now, I'm going to turn this video presentation over to Tony Clark, who will go over a few more of the rules with you, specifically National Federation rules, because, again, there's a major change in regard to uniforms this year, and there's also a major change in regard to the supporting points of a wrestler when they're in a pinning position as they are near the edge of the wrestling circle. So again, I'll turn it over to Tony. Thank you very much for your time, and as always, if you ever have any questions, please give me a call. Thank you.
New rule change this year. Rule 411-A through C allows wrestlers to compete in either the traditional singlet, shorts designed for wrestling, compression shorts, and a compression shirt. If wrestlers are going to wear the two-piece uniform, the compression shirt must be tucked into the shorts designed for wrestling or tucked into the compression shorts. Wrestlers are also allowed to wear the shorts designed for wrestling under the one-piece singlet. They can wear the compression shorts under the one-piece singlet, and they can still wear the compression shirt under the one-piece singlet. This rule also allows for wrestlers to wear compression shirt under the singlet without the referee's permission. Wrestlers still can wear the traditional tights as long as the tights have stirrups which will strap around the wrestler's foot. Also part of the new two-piece uniform change, wrestlers are also allowed to wear compression shorts over the singlet. They can wear the shorts designed for wrestling over the singlet. Keep in mind, anytime a compression shirt is worn, it has to be tucked into either style short or it has to be worn under a singlet. Wrestlers are not allowed to wear the tight-fitting compression shirt over a singlet without shorts. Some additional wrestling rule reminders. Rule 413 requires that laces be secured either using the manufacturer's locking device or tape. It is recommended that the laces that have to be taped to the shoe and around the ankle. Another rule reminder, Rule 426. Wrestlers who have braces are required to wear a proper tooth and mouth protector. If the wrestler has both upper and lower braces, they must wear a device that will cover both. Also, Rule 442 requires that a wrestler not compete more than one weight class above where their actual weight at weigh-in qualifies them. For example, a 126-pounder would be allowed to wrestle at 135, but they would not be allowed to wrestle anyone who weighs 145 or above. Also, no contestants shall compete in multiple matches with less than 45 minutes rest in between bouts. Another rule change is Rule 764D. which has to deal with stalling in the rear standing position. Once a defensive wrestler reaches their feet, the offensive wrestler has to make an attempt to return the defensive wrestler to the mat. This does not have a time limit. It doesn't have to be successfully completed. The referee will make the determination, is the offensive wrestler working to return the defensive wrestler to the mat. Two additional rule changes: the straight back salto and the front fullback supplé are no longer legal. The referee no longer has to wait to see how the wrestlers will land. Once the move has been executed, regardless on how the wrestler finished, it will be illegal by application. A new addition to the illegal holds is what is known as the flying squirrel. Wrestlers are no longer allowed to hurdle over their opponent while in the standing position to execute this move. As part of the near fall while out of bounds rule, a fall or near fall shall not be awarded if the wrestler being pinned is handicapped by having any portion of the wrestler's body off the mat. So coaches and officials will have to be aware of the area surrounding the wrestling surface to ensure that the wrestlers will not be handicapped by a wall, by benches, by clothing, or safety mats that may be attached to the mat. Near fall or a fall should not be awarded if there's any risk to the wrestler being pinned. Another new rule change this year: fall or near fall points may be scored while the defensive wrestler is beyond the boundary lines. Near fall points or falls shall be earned while the supporting points of either wrestler are in bounds. Supporting points while down on the mat will be the hands, the head, the knees, the buttocks, the thigh. Toes are not considered supporting points while down on the mat because they run the risk of extending the wrestlers further beyond the boundary lines than would be deemed safe. Rule 4.5-3 will deal with weight management. Once a wrestler steps on the scale, if they do not make weight, they're allowed to step off the scale and then return to the same scale. If they don't make weight on that scale, they're allowed to immediately try any other scale that is already in use. Once a wrestler steps off the scale, they are not allowed to do anything that will alter their weight. They cannot remove clothing, alter their hair, alter the uniform. They must return to the scale in the same manner that they did the first time.